wisdom follows, because just being intelligent without wisdom is pretty pointless.
Right, but it's not impossible.
Can you give me? It's not impossible.
Like, suppose there's some all-knowing, all-powerful God who just does random stuff. How do we know he didn't just say, let's make Earth and let's design the human body in this wonderful way without the heart on the hands or whatever you said, and design this all wonderfully, and then I'm just going to go do random stuff elsewhere just because I can. Like, there's a big universe out there with ostensibly nothing.
So I'm going to answer what an Oxford professor answered once. So when this question was somewhat posed to him, he said 3 points. He said the fact that there is uniformity. There were 3 things he said: uniformity, regularity, and stability. Yeah. And the example that he used was the mere fact that I can hold my glove out, and my glove is not floating away. It's not randomly combusting. It's not just being sucked into the Earth's gravity. Indicates that there is a level of consistency. There is a level of uniformity, regularity, and stability in nature for us to even do science. So for us to say, so I guess that would be a response to your thing, that if things were random, then we wouldn't even be able to do science.
I did not say everything was
random. I know. But what I'm saying is that there's enough in our universe for us to live our daily life, enjoy our life.
I can agree with all of this, but I'm just saying that to me does not prove that God or this initial source is wise in doing everything with wisdom. It just means this earth was created with wisdom.
Right. So you accept that he would use wisdom to create earth?
Well, maybe there's still something on Earth we haven't discovered yet that was not created with wisdom. I'm just saying, this to me is not a proof of its accuracy. What you're saying is consistent with a God who is wise, but it's not, in my opinion, it's not convincing me that it must be that way.
Okay, but so that's fine. We can come back to that. But are you saying that there's any issue with it being wise?
I do not have if there is a wise God, that is totally cool. I'm down with that.
No, would it make sense to you, the fact that it's intelligent, powerful, independent? Would it be inconceivable for you to consider it as wise?
No, it's definitely conceivable. I'm just saying I'm agnostic for a reason, which is I have not proven this.
Okay. Yeah. So wisdom is the thing that you're saying is
well, you've done a pretty good job on most of the others. Wisdom, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So wisdom is the thing that's the obstacle at the moment, yeah? Okay. Let's break down wisdom a little bit then. So if we're looking,
she's behind you.
do you want to ask if she's okay, because she's your mother? I don't want to keep her in the cold.
She's fine.
Yeah. Let me know. Are you okay? Yeah. Because I said, are you okay? Yeah. When you guys need to leave, just let us know. I don't want to hold you.
We're good, right?
All right.
Okay, fantastic. Because if my mum was here, you know what I mean? Seeing you reminds me of my own mum.
I was in the 11 like 3 times after that.
So what's going on now, Michael? What's going on now?
We're talking about wisdom. So we believe we've talked about there being humans dependent on each other, that if there is some God, that God is independent, is intelligent. Did I miss one?
Yeah, so independent, powerful.
Powerful. Did we talk about powerful?
Power.
Oh, we did talk about. Did we say all powerful or just powerful?
Just power.
Just power.
Immeasurable. He has immeasurable power. Yeah.
Independent, power, intelligent, and we're on wisdom now.
So wisdom would be putting things in their right place.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think when we look at the way design is, just look at the human body. Yeah, we got the human body.
Yeah.
Inside it are organs.
Yeah.
Inside the organs we have tissues. Inside the tissues we have cells.
Okay.
Inside the cells we have organelles.
Yeah.
Inside the organelles we have chromosomes.
No, I can agree. It's incredibly detailed.
So that's what I'm saying. Putting things in their right place. I guess I'd already covered this before, but I just wanted to double check. the mere presence of food webs and how they are intricately related, even as organism, even something as small as an atom. When you look at the way the nucleus is, the protons and the neutrons and the electrons, then you got the leptons and the bosons. And when you look at the way all of these things have been put in the right place for life to exist, for life to be present, that indicates wisdom. Because wisdom is putting things in their right place. If things were not in their right place, then that argument could have been made that, you know what, things aren't in their right place, things are all over the place, things are chaotic. You know, one minute the queen pops up there, the next, yeah. Go ahead.
So, are we good? Sorry guys, let this pass, then I'll respond.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry, Z. Yes, nice one. Good topic, bro. I love it.
Have you guys been Winter Wonderland? I've heard mixed reviews about
It's
it.
at the top of my list.
Yeah?
So I'm going to repeat my understanding of the question to make sure I understand, then I'll respond to it.
Yeah.
Right. So the comment was that the human body is created with such detail and so articulately that this is consistent with a story where God is wise. Is that the comment you're making?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that if wisdom is defined as putting things in their right place,
Yes.
and a case study of that is a human being,
Yeah.
and the human being, by looking at our physiology, even if you take other things around us, when you look at the physiology of those things, it indicates that things have been put in their right place for them to produce functionality and a purpose that indicates wisdom.
Okay, so I can agree that this is consistent with a story of wisdom, but I'm going to ask you if there's another possible explanation, which is, suppose this powerful, intelligent God is still subject to laws of physics and cannot break these laws of physics, and thus created Earth using some limited ability, and those laws of physics naturally resulted in the evolution of humankind to how we are today. Is it possible that this is consistent with what we're observing, but not necessarily a result of wisdom of God?
The only issue with that would be that what we know of the Big Bang is the beginning of time and space, and we believe the necessary being has to be outside of time and space, because time and space are those things that limit it. And because we agreed at the beginning that the necessary being is independent, it's not limited or dependent on anything.
So, well, okay, sorry,
Yeah.
I'm interrupting you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can this independent being cannot change the laws of physics, or can?
No, the independent being is not dependent on the law of physics. He can change the laws of physics, of course.
So I'm not saying. So the laws of physics just exist. And so what if this independent being just created some basic form of life on Earth, and those laws of physics resulted in evolution and the current humankind we observe today? Is that possible?
So you're saying, has this necessary being put certain things in place
Yeah.
that we are seeing today?
Right.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we do believe. We don't believe that the necessary being would have to physically be tinkering with every little thing.
Right.
It's some things can be created, but there is a sense of maintenance as well.
Okay.
Yeah, maintenance. Otherwise, it would fall in that deistic belief in God, which is this necessary existence created everything, and like a wind-up toy, everything is just kind of just doing its thing.
Plays out.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm kind of repeating myself. I can accept that the observations on Earth are consistent with some wisdom in God, but it is also possible that there are other actions by God that are not wise, right?
Like what?
I don't know what they would be, but is it possible? Given this, like we're saying, we have a case study that implies God is wise, but we are not observing all of God's actions. Thus, how do we know they're all wise?
What I'm saying is that we're using the scientific inquiry here, which is induction. So induction, just like with any science that we're doing, whether it's coming up with vaccines, whether it's coming up with cures or whatnot.
Interrupt. Are you saying,
No,
given
go ahead.
the observable evidence, we should conclude that God is wise? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying in science we use induction, and then we perform experiments, and then once we've done enough, we say the inference to the best explanation is X. So
I can accept if your claim is the best explanation is that God is wise, that's fine. But it is also possible that we have not yet learned. There's more things still to learn. That's what I would say.
that's fine. So I guess what I'm trying to say to you, just like with everything else, we say the inference to the best explanation is that copper conducts electricity, that the forecaster said that it's going to rain, or yeah, I hope not. So the inference to the best explanation, was this, but then I would also appeal to my original point, which was that if we believe that this necessary being is intelligent, is powerful, it has will, wisdom, then I would argue, but again, we don't have to stick on this point. I would argue that everything that has now resulted from this necessary being is a result of wisdom. Now, just because we don't understand it or we have a certain expectation of it, I'll give you an example. Somebody may look at a knife and say that's not a wise invention at all, completely and utterly unwise. But somebody else that forages for berries in the forest, or even my mum who wants to peel an apple for me, she would understand and appreciate the use. So again, that could be subject to a person's understanding. Or a cat would not understand and appreciate a Wi-Fi router. It would very happily urinate on there. But if I saw my cat urinating on my router, it's not going to be a happy day for me. You know what I mean? Because I understand the complexity of the Wi-Fi router. So I guess what I'm trying to say is the argument from ignorance, that just because we may not conceive something to be of certain use, or we may not think of it to be wise, doesn't necessarily mean it's wise. But I grant your premise, which is that the inference to the best explanation is wisdom, and then we can kind of proceed on from there. And the wonderful thing now, Michael, is the 4 characteristics that I've given the necessary existence is pretty much the Islamic definition of God. So you are in line with the Islamic definition of God. So then moving on, wisdom, one thing that I would argue here is if we accept that inference to the best explanation is God, or the necessary existence who we deem to be God, to be wise, it's unwise to create things with no purpose whatsoever. Would you agree with that? If not, feel free to give me an example.
Well, we need to define what purpose is.
Purpose,
I can say, I can create something that you think has no purpose, but for me it's entertaining.
But that's a purpose.
Right.
So function, I guess. So GTA 6, I guess. That was in social media. A lot of people have issues with that, but a lot of people are saying, you know what, that's going to be fun. So it fulfills the purpose for which it was created, which is to entertain people. Can you use the money from GTA in shops? Of course not. Can you use it to, get married to somebody? I haven't come across a situation in which that's possible. So there is a purpose. So to simplify, purpose, let's just link it to functionality.
So there necessarily needs to be a function of like our life on Earth? What are you talking about?
So what I'm saying is, my point to you was, you can't be wise and create something with no purpose.
I am actually going to disagree with you on that one.
You're fantastic.
So functionality is your definition of purpose.
It's a very simplistic way of us.
What if this wise God just got bored and was like, let me just experiment and create something very well designed just because I can? Is that impossible?
But that's what I'm saying. For a wise creator to just do things for no reason whatsoever, no purpose whatsoever, it goes against wisdom. I'll give you an example. If my professor comes into the lecture hall, we've got exams coming up, and he starts doing a break dance, and then I raise my hand thinking, you know what, maybe this has got, this is an analogy. He wants to teach me something. He's doing a Mr. Miyagi on me, yeah? So I want to find out, wax on, particles off, or what? No, he's doing one of those ones. And I ask him, sir, what was that? He was like,
no reason.
No, not even that. He's not even dignifying me with the last one. He's like, because I can.
Right.
Would my impression of him would be that he is a wise professor that understands I've got exams coming up, he's intelligent, he knows what's going on, or would my kind of appreciation of his wisdom go down because of him doing a random action?
Well, obviously in that context that is not wise, but again, consider the same professor in his office at his computer supposed to be doing research. He's just like, I'm really curious what these data look like. I'm not going to write a research paper. I just kind of want to play around with it just because I can.
But do you see though, this is what they say of child rearing as well. The best way that a child can learn is through play. So play is with the purpose of learning, because what you're doing is you're finding out where all the bits go. But what I'm arguing is, if there is immense intelligence of this necessary being, the necessary being doesn't need to tinker with things, because that would assume that there is lack of intelligence. Because somebody,
but he's just entertaining himself.
but entertaining yourself how though? How would that? How can we see something that is?
Maybe God is laughing at us right now thinking about this. Like, they're so stupid. They're actually trying to think about this.
The only way God would be laughing, would be that, there are people that actually don't believe that I exist. They actually believe that they came from nothing, that there was no order. This is
maybe people believe and just got it completely wrong, and he thinks that's funny too.
The thing with that is that would mean that the creator is manipulative.
Or just has a good sense of humor.
A sense of humor, but imagine creating something and not putting that thing in place. I would argue that there is enough evidence, there is enough faculties that we have to determine. I'll give you an example. One of those faculties, or one of ththose knowledge that all of us have, is called the innate disposition to believe in God. Justin Barrett, the University of Oxford, he conducted a sociological experiment over many years, many countries, and he concluded that we are innately dispositioned to believe in a God.
Historically, most cultures have always believed in a God,
Even if a person is left in the forest, even if a person is alienated from society, they would believe in a creator of sorts. So bearing that in mind, and then when a person looks at, say, a butterfly, a sunflower, when a person sees system, order, a person concludes that I didn't just come from nothing, I came from something, and then that journey begins. So I guess, Michael, what I would argue was the creator, if he creates us, he's given us a purpose to recognize him, to know him, and we have certain weaknesses and we rely upon him. It doesn't make sense for him to be laughing at our misery. It would make sense for him to be assisting us during our misery, because that is more fitting of a wise God, of an intelligent God. I'll give you an example.
Fitting and makes sense doesn't mean it has to be that way, though.
It makes sense, but then we come back to the inference to the best explanation.
I can agree it makes sense, but that doesn't mean it's true.
No problem. But what I'm saying, Michael, is that, let's just say, me as a human being, with my limited understanding, limited wisdom, definitely, a lot of things I've got wrong, but let's just say I'm with my kid. He's doing something that is detrimental to him, like really detrimental.
Right.
I'm like, what a prat.
Sometimes you do need to let kids make mistakes, because that's how they learn.
You do.
But
But to a limit.
Right.
And if you're seeing how these guys just, I mean, not getting overly political
So
here.
now you're talking about God being good.
Yeah.
So now you got into that whole intelligent, powerful good.
But here's going to be the difference here with the stance that you're used to with regards to Christianity. We don't believe he's all good.
Oh, he's not all good.
No.
Oh.
We don't say all good because we believe God has other characteristics as well. All good would imply that that's it.
Doesn't it make sense that God would be good? Going back to
No.
Inference.
It would make sense for God to be good, for
Yeah.
God to be wise, for God to be loving, but to only say that this one characteristic encompasses him, that's false. Because in order to be just, sometimes you, like you said, you have to let somebody make a mistake.
Yeah.
You have to let a child cry.
Okay.
But then a person would say that is not a good mother.
Right.
But she is a good mother, but that woman or that mother, or that mother is, she's loving.
Yeah.
She's being just. She's being merciful, etc., etc.
Are we backlit?
Yeah. That's fantastic, isn't it?
All right,
Was that bad?
Yeah, it was too bright.
Okay. So in that sense, yeah. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that if you look at the inference to the best explanation, and you're like, what best suits the situation? I agree with you. There is conversation that can be had about the branches that you said, and we can explore those. It's fantastic, yeah. And I like the fact that you brought it up. But because I don't know if I'm going to see you again. If I knew that, so if I knew you were coming next week, then we could have put certain things on ice and said, let's get back to them.
Sure.
But because I know I'm only going to see you once, I want to kind of give you like a cohesive picture.
All right.
So you got something to go away with, and then that maybe you can supplement later.
So I'll leave in a minute, but I'll listen to your closing statement and then I'll get out of here.
Wicked. So then if we accept those things which you said that resonate with you, and I agree with you, that there are certain issues by saying that God is all good, he loves everybody, and there's certain issues with that.
Yeah.
But even before we get into that, we have accepted in this conversation there has to be a necessary existence. It has certain characteristics. Those characteristics or qualities are that which Muslims believe that to be of God. Then my argument would have been that it's not befitting of a wise God to create human beings and just leave us. It would necessitate, or it would suit God to communicate and build that bridge of us.
Merry Christmas!
Thank you. So for us, for that bridge of knowledge, of us to gain that knowledge from God on how to live an effective life, because although the argument that you probably would have given, because I'm on ×2 mode now, would be that there are certain things that we can intuit, and I would agree with you, but not everything can be intuited. And that's why there is in morality there is such a disjunct, such disagreement. I mean, you look at, for example, the Israel-Palestine issue that's going on, even the arguments pertaining abortion, even the arguments pertaining LGBT. These are moral arguments, and there is no moral consensus. So this argument that no, we have everything that can be intuited, it's actually